Welcome to Soul Awakening Conversation, Emerge and Flow, the podcast. I'm your host, Sandra, and this is an open, grounded, and intentional space where we can explore many of our spiritual journeys, many of them that shaped us. We're here to share stories of growth and spiritual gifts and challenges, our awakenings. We're here to honor the experience of us being on our path, no matter how our path started, no matter where we are on our path. So let's let it flow. Let's let it emerge. We're going to flow in our journey, and we're going to emerge in our wholeness. Today's guest is Kaylyn. She is our I'm gonna slow my roll because I'm excited. She is our inspirational nomad _ life. She's not only an oracle and a tarot reader, but she takes us on her many walkabouts, her many travels. And she shares so much wisdom with us on her Instagram page. So follow her. Okay, that's nomad _ life. All right. And I'm about to invite her in. So with a warm welcome, let's give her a wave. And I'm so excited.
Hey, Sandy.
Kaylyn,
Hi. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you okay.
How are you? Thanks for having me. Thank you for that beautiful intro and welcoming.
Oh, thank you so much. I've got at least, I have so many questions, but I picked three of what I thought would help people who don't know you get to know you a little bit better, right?
Okay.
Right? So if you don't mind, I would like you, I would like you to do your intro for yourself. Okay? Just a little bit.
I will, girl. I will. I'll try.
Okay?
It's difficult with all these layers that we carry at this point, especially those of us that have been on a journey, and life is life, right? So while I like to avoid boxes and labels, I think that you described it very accurately. The way I present on Instagram, definitely as an oracle, a tarot card reader, and just a lover of life and adventurer. A nomad, spelled the way it's spelled on purpose, KNOW, mad, as in a knowledge worker. So
Right.
that phrase is something that, I didn't come up with, but it's kind of a growing phrase or a growing label, if you will, of those of us that like to adventure, use our knowledge, use our experience in creative ways to serve others. And sometimes that's through, healing work, grid working, spiritual items, but it also can be through things like freelancing or just using our skills in community building. So I have found myself in very unique situations doing so, and I love it. Hence why I continue to live a lifestyle this way. But yeah, those are the two main things I bring to the table. But again, multidimensional and ever growing, ever learning, I know you understand.
Oh, I
So,
so understand. Now, let me tell you what that did, guys. My first question was to her. Your Instagram title, Tarot, Trails, and Tales, is an incredibly thought-provoking, right? Can you walk us through what that phrase means to you personally and how those three elements, the tarot, the trails, and the tales, intersect your life and practice? She's pretty much dived into it already. So shall we let her keep engaging us with that information? I'm
well,
just saying.
Yeah, you're right, spot on with it. I mean, and it's funny. I love that you pointed that out in my bio, tarot trails and tales, because what the heck does that even mean, right? Like, as a reader and someone who, at this point, I'm very thankful. I have, if you want to call it, a book of clients, a book of really, they've become my soul friends and soul clients that I've been working with over the years, many of which I've connected through on Instagram. Back in 2020, I finally got the guts to bring tarot to the public, and I did so through lives. And that was a journey in its own. Not only was I insecure, not in the cards, but just in my presentation and bringing tarot to life. I mean, let's be honest, it can be a questionable practice. I mean, right now there's so much tarot on, I imagine, TikTok, and I know YouTube. Some of which, I'm fully aware a lot of those readers give readers like myself kind of, I mean, it's humiliating. Let's be real. I'm just like, this is trash. But that being said, I always like to let the light shine through. And I just came through with my authenticity, and kind of joke was on me, Sandy, because as I was helping to, try to bring a modality to help others heal themselves, I in turn healed myself. I learned a lot about surrendering. I learned a lot about using my voice in a positive ways, the ugly parts of that too, and also the beauty that comes through sharing, your life authentically and the rewards that come with that. There's vulnerability. There's some side looks you get, and I worked and grew through so much of that. And this is why I'm such a huge advocate for people to really just get to know whatever your art is, share it with the world, and share it vulnerably, and share it loud, and share it proud. And the more that you're able to share in the way that it resonates with you and the time that it takes, or however your journey looks, I think that's what we're here to do. I think we're here to create, and there's many ways to do that. So that was one of the big ways publicly, I kind of started with the tarot. That being said, I was a teacher. I had a career as a teacher. I taught for 7 years, a high school English teacher. I did a little bit of middle school. It didn't resonate. So, 2020 was a big change for me, as it was everyone else. In 2018, I left the classroom, but in 2020, my career that I started, not just in tarot, but as a tutor, really took off because, folks were in need of, they needed help in the classroom. They were working from home, and kids were home, and, they needed help in those ways. So I started doing kind of a mix of things. And that's where this nomadism kind of really took form, because I started to realize, well, I can be anywhere and I can do different things. And thanks to this really cool transformation of this realm, this earth realm right now, I can do it mobily. So I started again, just utilizing these platforms and utilizing just me where I'm at with what I have. And yeah, monetizing it, but following my heart really was the more important thing.
Yeah.
So the last, no pun intended, tail end of your question with the tails is because another thing I really love that has supported me and has kind of increased with my travels is I'm a dog sitter. So a lot of folks, they like to go on vacations. Right now, I'm in one of them. I've been working for these folks for about 2 years, and occasionally they'll, like right now they're in Ireland and they want someone to take care of their house, take care of their pups. They know I'm an animal lover, so I travel around, and it's really supported the lifestyle I already want to have, right? So
Right.
they're my three main, I'm a freelancer, right? But they're my three main heart-filled and heartfelt, heart-guided services that I bring with the animals, divination, and then, of course, my love of travel. But yes.
Yes. See, I just knew asking that question, we were going to get into the
So much.
deep of her, right? Instead of just
Mhm.
asking, okay, well, why do you do what you do? You know?
Yeah.
So I would like to explore this end of it. You said that there are tarot readers and oracle readers, and some of them we know are just like a doctor. There can be a serious doctor and there can be a quack doctor, right?
Yes.
Okay, but on the other end of it, for people who are curious, uh, and also at the same time, they may be hesitant about tarot, about oracle. especially like in this world where it's so easy, we so easily stereotype people and take the misinformation as the truth, right? What do you wish that you could help them understand? And let me see, how what do you wish you could help them understand? And in that, no, better word, intention. What is your intention to help them understand better, with
Yeah.
as you personally approach the actual person?
So I want to start by saying it is so important to use discernment. And for folks that are skeptical, if it's not for them, it's not for them. And they can take that and that's fine, right? But for folks that are curious, maybe they're curious of other things and not just divination, but a lot of the programs, and allow me to use the word programs that are put into us, programs not just related to tarot cards and whatever stereotypes might come with that, but just everything that we're taught is worth questioning. And when it comes to the tarot, and especially with religion and things like that, like you said, there are always going to be folks out there that don't come with pure intentions. On top of that, the world we live in now, there's always going to be people that hop on the bus and try to monetize in a negative way, not with pure intentions. But
Right.
I believe in my heart that you can feel when someone resonates with you. When someone speaks and you can feel it in your bones and it gives you chills or it gives you a feeling, perhaps it's worth questioning. Whether it's for, if say it's a tarot reader and you want to go and see what they're talking about, hire them for a reading. You have to have an open heart, though. You can't go in there with, oh, let me see what, you know what I mean? You can't, like,
Right.
whatever. That being said, like, I give these people a break because when I first picked up a tarot deck, that's how I felt. I didn't even want to. I'm from a Catholic background, Catholic Italian mother. She took us to church every freaking Sunday, man, and I went in there every weekend. Like, what am I doing here? But again, as a child, that was just part of my journey, and it was the beginning of my questioning. It brought some shame when I started, using my tarot decks later in life. But I was going through such a mass awakening. I was in such a hermit phase. I was exploring all kinds of things. So tarot happened to be one that I was so drawn to, but because of the programming, I was reluctant. Then when I realized not only was I feeling like I was uncovering an old part of myself, but I was tapping into an ancient art, and that is, to further answer your question, what I want folks to consider too. There's something about ancient healing and ancient arts when we're talking about things like even sound healing, frequency healing, old medicines, connecting with the landscape, old practices when used correctly and when properly studied, not as a trend, and when brought forth from the heart and from the soul, I think, and in my experience, it's been so healing. People come to me in crisis, Sandy. People come to me as regulars. People come to me like maybe a therapist every 3 to 4 months just to check in. And I'm like, you know what? This is good. They have the confirmation, clarification, and empowerment to move forward with the energies they're experiencing right now. So it
Right.
doesn't have to be, as wild sometimes as folks might imagine too. But
Right. Yeah. I came about, I grew up in a very, I grew up in a Northern Baptist church. Northern
okay.
Baptist church is totally different from Southern Baptist. Southern Baptist is a lot stricter, but Northern
Okay.
Baptist nonetheless. And I was always the kid that was asking questions. I was always the kid that was upsetting the apple cart. But I had a mother who was very allowing. They
Mm.
would say, they would come to her. She's since been gone. She's been gone about, from physical form, about 30 years. And they would say to her, Anne, you need to check your child because she's being disruptive, uh, with her questions. And so my mom would come to me and she'd say, oh, Sandy, what question did you ask? And I just tell them. And she says, and they didn't give you an answer? And I say, nope. And then she would whisper, keep asking, that kind of
Oh,
thing, right?
beautiful.
Right? Just keep asking. Someone will
Yeah.
answer it. Okay. And but at the same time, I came from that background where, um, you know, divination and tarot, and I didn't hear so much about oracle language or whatnot. And
Hmm.
holiness church you had to stay away from because they spoke that tongues, right?
Hmm.
Which everybody, tongues is just another definition, or not definition, but label for speaking light language, right?
Yes,
So
I agree.
so um but for me, I believed my awakening, or recalling, I like to call it recalling, started to happen when I was very young, right?
Same,
In that particular area, okay?
same.
And it was while my mother was alive that that particular area of my life could grow. I truly believe that my mother was my spiritual guardian in human form, that she decided that she wanted to experience birth, and I was the one that she birthed. I mean,
Can I
along
ask
with
you a question related to that, actually, Sandy? Did you,
yes,
when you were, well, while we're on kind of like the childhood topic and or whatever adolescent ages, did you have other peers that kind of were either asking the same questions or that maybe on the side you guys could chat about, like, or did you feel like you were the only one asking these
I
questions?
I had, and she must be buzzing in your ear for you to ask that question. Really, I had by fifth grade, I had a best friend show up. When I grew up, guys, we had classes that our school was like, I guess pupils were so many that we had classes like 1 through 6th grade, but the first couple of grades were split into A and B sessions, right? So she showed up in the 5th grade in the A session, right? She walked in the class. I looked at her and I walked over to her and I said, "You're my friend. I know you." Right?
Mm.
And I had, I don't know what it was. I think it was a doll that I had taken to school when my mother said I shouldn't, and I just handed it to her, and she, this is ours now. This is yours now. This is mine now. And from then on, when I was on a spiritual like growth pattern, she was too.
Mm.
And it was
That's
nothing
so
we ever
cool.
talked about. It was
Hmm.
just, I would look at her and say, something about something I learned in Bible study or whatnot, or church school, and come back and say something to her. And she would say, "You know what? That's always bothered me too." We both had mothers that allowed us to go to other churches to find the answer.
Wow, that's unique.
Very
Especially
unique.
because you had a friend doing that as well. How
As
interesting.
Yeah, and I think it helped me because I never looked at myself being odd. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? It
Yeah, well,
wasn't
that
what
was
every it wasn't what everybody else was doing, but it was, I would ask her a question, or she would
right.
say, "Oh, you know what? Let's go find that out." I
Right.
mean, we went through, she was having questions through her Jehovah Witness studies that her mother was having her go through, and I of course was Baptist, so we went to Methodist, Lutheran. We went to. I also grew up in. Uh, my aunt was Catholic, so when my aunt would have to babysit me or my siblings, we would go to her church. So there was just questions everywhere, right? And when I would get what they gave me as an answer, I throw it out at her, and she would go, "Really?" And I go,
Mhm.
Not really, and we go, and I mean, we even went to Mormon church. We went to I just all of them, right?
That's so cool. You were on like a pilgrimage going through to find you were young seekers.
We were, yeah, we were young seekers, and not afraid to ask the questions. Not
So
to say,
cool.
guys, that we got the answer or the truth,
Mm-hmm.
but we got an answer that if it resonated. And remember, we're fifth grade. That's 11 or 12, and we did that up until we were about 16 or 17,
That's
right?
awesome.
So, and we found what was comfortable for us based on, now still based on, there's a certain amount of, what do you call it, certain amount of uh, I'm trying to find the right word. Well, certain amount of information that has been downloaded to us that might not be correct,
Sure.
right? And the thing is, if I didn't ask my mother a question based on other areas of my life, she wasn't giving me that feedback. Do you know what I meant?
I like that she gave you the option, which it sounds like you took as an opportunity to go seek for thyself and to go see and hear it. Like I like to say, like hear it from the horse's mouth. I can just, the way you're saying it, I just can visualize you and your friend or just you going and kind of soaking in all this information, feeling what resonates, maybe discarding quite a bit, but probably finding truth, at least some truth in all of them, because I'm the type myself. I mean, even now, all the ancient texts I've gone down and all the rabbit holes I've gone down, and yes, the religions and the philosophies and Stoic perspectives and everything that I've researched, and I can find truth in everything. There's always a little bit of truth in
Yeah,
everything. There's also many things that overlap. There's also a whole bunch that I throw out, and I've learned the most from going inward. I've learned the most from learning my own nature and being out quite literally in nature in the landscapes and things like that. But what I'm saying is, from the story that you just described, like I'm sure that at that age, especially, I mean, they say if by 7 years old, like, you're kind of the subconscious is kind of set, but you guys were acting like true researchers in this phase of fifth grade to 16 or 15, whatever you said. And really, I mean, that's
yeah,
super cool. You got to decide for yourself and take in, what you chose to take in, I'd assume.
yeah. What we chose to take in, and of course, change was always going to happen,
Right,
and
right.
of course, you go through some other areas of your life where it the story just, there's a story already written that you have to go
Yes.
through, and you have to figure out. First, you're kind of, I truly believe what I've learned so far in this last year to year and a half is that I used to be a person that would say, oh, we're uh we're either, there's the sleeping and the awake, or they're the unconscious and conscious, and being the spiritual, we're awake, or we're conscious. But it's not just, every human being is conscious of the fact that they're living life. I finally got what the divine was trying to tell me. I don't know if the divine was trying to tell anybody else, but I finally came out of my meditation and went, they're conscious about living life. They know that they know that they were born, they know they're going to die. But are they aware that they have a choice of living life, that life's not doing shit to them? The life is being created because of them. And I went,
Yes.
oh, right,
I
oh,
love
right.
it.
So I believe I was the recall happened for a purpose. And I believe that my best friend, she became my best friend all the way through, up until the time she was, we got almost late 30s. And then guess what? just as quickly as she came in, she left the picture of the story, right? She moved away. And the way things happened, um, I got a new phone number and she moved away. So when I sent her a letter, the letter came back, return to sender, no one at this address. And she had the most basic name. When her last name when she got married was Jones.
Oh, very
Okay,
common.
so very, very common. So
Yeah.
yes, hi everyone. Thank you for coming in. Um, so it was now when I sit and I look at that, I said, she was my guardian too. She
I
came in
agree.
human, right? It was like she came in human form to be there for that moment, to have me have this little awakening, even if I was a kid and maybe not knew all of what it meant, right? But the main thing that I wanted to tell everyone was, when we're talking about oracle cards and tarot cards and light language and even whether it's called tongues or light language or whatnot, these are things that to a person who does not understand that these are gifts that's already in them,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
She did. Okay,
that's beautiful.
because I went to a Baptist church and she was doing Jehovah's Witness readings, right? Or studies. And we went to a holiness church because there were questions that I had. And at the end of the church service, there was a lady the that I guess they call it that the Holy Ghost falls on or falls
Hmm.
into, and she she prophesied or whatnot, but she was in speaking in full light language, okay, full
Hmm.
tongues, and I
Tongues, yeah.
turned and I
Yeah.
looked at her and I felt something, okay, but I think, hey, I'm 13, what do I know? I think by then I was maybe about 14. And I turned to her and said, as we're walking out, because the lady hadn't finished, but everybody was walking out, and I was standing, and I kind of was in everybody's way. And I turned to her and I said, I'm going to talk like that. And she looked at me, and she just she had this smile that you have on your face, and her face was really lit up, and she said, yeah.
She knew it, yeah.
Yeah. And that and but Kaylin, that was like the last time we talked about it, that we had
Would
the
you say
experience.
Would you say an experience like that, maybe it activated you? Like you said, like we all have, at least I believe, I mean, some people, they're just beaming out of them. Like I could tell they could pick up a deck of cards and do what I did. They might be reluctant in the beginning, but they could get it. And perhaps they did it in a past life, or they're doing it on other timelines, or maybe it's just a way for them to bring the subconscious to the conscious, because that's really what it is. I mean, even with light language, I believe that there's a lot of us just bringing the subconscious conscious, and for lack of better terms, that's what I'm saying. But you're channeling something, you're bringing something forth that really, just the less guarded, the less programmed, and the more open you are. But back to my question, like sometimes an activation of some kind, like even just you witnessing that, like, wow, I see something in that, and you
Y-
felt something in
And
here.
yeah, and as in that particular moment, in that particular now moment, I
Yeah.
think it was activation, right? It was an
Yeah,
activation
that's what it sounds like to me.
of
Yeah.
sort, and it was a confirmation as well of spirit through my friend. Okay, but there was not the activity of it from me yet,
Right.
because my light language did not come up until 2000, right after COVID hit, and everything was shifting with everybody.
Yep.
And when I say
Mhm.
COVID, I don't say it with, ooh, I'm scared, because
Me
it
too.
was a catalyst that
Yes.
that redirected me and gave me the ability to start diving into, number one, healing myself, number or let's put it this way, number one, knowing myself, so know
Mhm.
thyself. Number
Yes.
two, learning how to love myself, and then becoming open and aware that there is more to me than body and mind, right? And
Mhm.
the next activation of that light language, okay, was I was on somebody. I got into. Do you know Marcus Crystallite? Have
Yes,
you?
I do.
Yes.
It,
Okay.
yes. Have
So
you had him on the podcast?
I've had him on my older podcast. Yes, I've
Okay.
had,
I think
and
that's
I'm
where I
also
remember.
doing a podcast with him called Ascending Beyond Limitations on YouTube
I
as
think that's
well.
where I saw it on YouTube. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was doing a live with another gentleman, and the person that they were talking to was a friend of mine, right? And what had happened was was still very new to Instagram and didn't know all the little tabs that would pop up and everything. And I was trying to say hi to her. And at the time that I was trying to click the little button that sends the hi to her, she had jumped off, and there was another little button that said join live. And I pressed and all of a sudden I was in there live,
That was
right?
meant to be, wasn't it?
That was meant to be. And
Yeah.
so I started following them. They started following me. And then
Nice.
the next couple of times he would have a live, um, there was a young lady by the name of Shauna. I think she was called Witchy Woman at that time. And she was singing in light language, and then she was speaking in light language on that particular live. I'm telling you, Kaylin, the language just came through.
Mm.
Not in the live, I didn't start speaking it, but I could feel something growing in me that
Mhm.
night when I did my meditational bath.
Mhm.
All of a sudden it just came out, and I'm
Wow.
literally, Caitlin, I was like in the
That's
bath going,
beautiful.
I was going, what? Where did that, was that me? And my higher self was saying, yep, that's you. So it, because I believe I was ready to actually understand it and not judge it as an adult,
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
that's part of it, not judging it, right?
Yeah.
And also just surrendering to it too, because you can't make this stuff up, and the alignment and the serendipity. And even, I mean, in the story that you just told, the chances of you, not knowing the buttons, and here you are with this woman who is having, you're being activated again, and then you're having this profound experience, a mystical experience, in your bath later. It's just, it sounds like, and all while it sounds like you were also doing some inner work, some, not like you said, you weren't just body and mind, but you're tapping into the spiritual perspective of yourself, and then these things begin to flow. And for a lot of us, and I think, in my experience and having conversations with folks and working with folks over the last really, 6, 7 years, something did just really switch in humanity in a really beautiful way. I still get very confused. I understand why people have negative perspectives, but like, I just continue to see growth, goodness, change, surrender, gratitude, wanting to know, wanting to discover. Folks going inward. Yeah, it's never going to be perfect. That's part of this realm. But I love stories like the ones you just shared, where it sounds like you just gave yourself a chance to tap into another side of yourself, and this whole beautiful part of you emerged, and now it's something that you're able to share. that gives your life purpose and also helps others, right? So
Yeah,
that's what's really cool about these paths is that however we're doing it, there's a lot of differences, but at the end of the day, it usually comes down to purpose and service to others as opposed to service to self or, capitalism, monetary gains, things like that.
right.
I think that's really beautiful that that's how these things came about for you.
Yeah, I mean, and they keep coming about. See,
Sure.
that's the thing about growth and expansion. There were there were so many things, so many like you were saying earlier when we deep dive into other books, other than for me it had to be other than the Bible for me because that
Mhm.
was the only book that was being given as a truth.
Right.
And I was this kid that was going, well, the Adam and Eve story. No, I was that kid
I
that said
know.
Adam and
I
Eve.
was there too. I
I
was
was
raising
like,
my hand, and the nun's like, "Shut up, get her out of here."
yeah, I was that one. I was like, okay, I no, I was the one that said no. There had to be a lot more people around in order to have all these people. It was to me, and then you can't tell me that I'm a sinner because Adam and Eve wanted to know knowledge, right?
Yeah.
So and I would tell, they called my mama that day. They really did because I was asking in front of everybody. It's like,
Yeah.
how's this so? And it just didn't fly with me. It doesn't mean that some of the books in the Bible aren't truth. They're
Right.
perspective, they're stories of people
Right.
who have walked a path and it got shared at
Right.
one
So
time. And
for
it's
me, I
true.
think here's what I found. One, and this is just a pattern. I recognize a lot of patterns at this point, and a lot of us do. And one of the patterns that I've recognized over time is that no matter what culture, religion, faith, perspective I'm looking at, it's the art of storytelling. Because in most cases, I mean, and I know I'm this way, when someone tells me something directly, I have a tendency of saying, no, I want to discover on my own. I want to come to my own realization. I want to make it myself. Now, not everyone is like that. Some people like to be told what to do, but guess how they like to learn it? Through storytelling. So a lot of what we see in not just the Bible, but other cultures and just myths and legends of the past. Again, why I love being an English teacher is to decode these things. That's why I love the tarot. We're decoding symbolism. So in
Mhm.
these stories, I don't know that it's always meant to be taken literal. Yes, I think there are times where it's absolutely literal. I also think there's absolutely symbolism. I also think that it is up to each person at where they're at on their path and what they can understand at their level of awareness of what
Right.
things are. By the way, there are some cases where these books aren't even given. I mean, I think I've read the Bible more inside out and backwards than most Catholics sitting in a church on a Sunday. And that's like real talk. I've done it with a lot of religious texts, but it's
Right.
because of my curiosity and my hunger. And a lot of times there's just this dictation piece where it's meant to be taken literal. I'm more a fan of decoding. I decode my everyday life. I see symbols and signs all around me every day. I feel like I'm in a freaking video game and it's fun. It makes it exciting for me. I know it's me. I know it's my projection into the outward, right? So I
Mhm.
know the more I work on me, the more I see it outside myself. When I have these fluctuations in vibration, I can tell what game I'm playing, right? But it's just food for thought. But I mean, and I don't want to oversimplify, but I really think a lot of it is meant for us to interpret. And I was with you in the fifth, sixth, seventh grade, like, dude, this don't add up. This can't,
Yeah, it
and
doesn't add
raising
up.
my
But
hand,
then, but then when I was uh, uh, starting to read other books, reading the raw material,
Mhm.
the divine design. And then when I was reading the raw materials, of course they have like 5 books. And when I got to maybe about the second book, there was the way that Ra would channel through this young lady. There was a certain way that he would speak, and I got lost. So I went into meditation and I said, okay, you've got me reading this book, you want me to understand it. I'm lost on the what I'm reading right now. Then I was doing a reading on Instagram with another book, and someone came in and asked, well, what book are you? You're almost finished with this book. What book are you going to do next, right? And I'm going to tell you, it's like the synchronicities that show up. So this
Mm.
young lady says, well, uh, could the next book you read be The Divine Design by Lori Ladd? So I said, well, DM me that so I'll remember the title and the author, and I'll go into my Spotify, not Spotify, my Amazon, and see if I could purchase it.
Right.
And of course I started reading it. So that I become a little bit. I like to read I like to read with a person so that the divine moves through me to share information or energy or whatnot, so that, I'm not judging it for the person that I'm reading it. I'm reading it with them. We're
That was
learning
my
together.
favorite way that I found you. That's why I loved you. I used to have you just playing as you would read. I'd be doing things around the house and you'd just be reading in the background. It was one of my favorite things. Yeah.
Right, and this is why so I started reading the divine design. And the
Hmm.
divine design is, I finally understood the creator was trying to show me that Ra was giving a overall contextual view of what was going on
Hmm.
for the last 14,000 years in the in this third density of all the choices of everything. But it was an overview. The divine design, it was a channeling of what was actually happening there in
Okay.
each of the grids. And so I went, oh, this helps me understand that the fact that we talk about aliens. I don't like to call them aliens. I like to call them extraterrestrials or whatnot. But then I learned, oh, they are the expressions of the divine from other dimensions that have come to play on Earth School in this 3D game. And oh, and when we get to the point where our consciousness is raised to when we shift and expand like Earth consciousness shifts and expands. And now they say Earth consciousness is like in the 5D, not just the 5D grid. She's 5D conscious and steadily growing, waiting for us to become more conscious like her.
Hmm.
Then, but it's not that we have to die to do it. I went, that makes so much sense, because I didn't understand why we have to wait thousands of years and come back all this time. Why couldn't we
Yeah.
do it in one? And then
Yeah.
it
I
made
hear you.
sense, right?
I agree on that. So I think it's sometimes too just talk. I'm at the point myself where like even talking in linear language has began to get actually more confusing for me because I've realized that while it's helpful, because that's what we learn in the beginning, right? Linear dates, years, but then I'm so far gone from that, Sandra. Like I appreciate any work, whether it's an author or any speaker or anything that I'm learning, when it just understands the vibrational match, right? Because that's
Exactly.
how things happen instantly, and that's how things happen and they actually resonate and sink in. That's how it makes sense that some people can be in the same, not even just the same earth, but the same living room as me, and be on a completely different timeline in the kitchen while I'm cooking macaroni on the, you know what I mean? Like it's a vibrational thing. And once you start, little by little over time, you start to integrate that into your lifestyle and your perspectives. It makes a lot more sense for me. I can digest it. I become cognizant of it more fully when we're speaking in vibrations and frequencies
Please,
over
right.
linear time.
Yeah, like when you were contacting me, and you were saying, "Oh, I'm behind you," uh,
Oh, yeah.
right? And I said, "Isn't it great because we're on different timelines, but we share them,
Yeah, we're
right?"
like bridge makers. We're bridge makers. We each bring our own perspective and meet and bridge over time. It's pretty cool.
Right. So
Um,
I got two more questions.
yeah, of
Your
course.
Okay. So your travels and your hike, I watched as much as I could when you were
Oh,
hiking,
that's so funny.
when
Thank
you were
you.
on your walkabout. Mhm.
Yes, that was such a thing.
It was it was like my mouth was like, look at this girl. Look at look at what she's
Thank
doing.
you.
I kept telling my higher spirit, I love her.
Oh,
You
thanks.
know, right? So in your travels and your hikes, and especially when you were trying to do the readings,
Hmm. Hmm.
do that, during as much time as you could take. So
Right.
you were doing this across, your walkabout, and you were
Hmm.
filming it.
Yep.
How was that? Or how did that shape your intuitive abilities or deepen your connection with the cards or
Mm.
and actually with Mother Earth? Reading the cards and being in tune with Mother Earth, the walkabout, the energy, there was like I think one time where it was drenched and it was raining and pouring and you also had to sleep in the tent while that was going on.
It was crazy. Look, I
You
can't
know,
believe I did it. Yeah. Well, okay. So to answer your question, so me being a nomad, yes, I drive around from state to state. I spend a lot of time in the Southwest and would be traveling and showcasing that, or I'd go up to Mount Shasta, or through Louisiana and the swamp and different places, and I'd put little reels up. Completely not the same as what I did on the Appalachian Trail. Just to give people that don't know a quick perspective, the Appalachian Trail is about 2,200 miles. It starts in Georgia, it ends in Maine. It takes most people to do what we call a through hike, which means it's a continuous footpath. AKA, you're waking up every day and hiking as far as you can from sunup to sundown with some breaks. You're eating, you're not, it's not survival, it's through hiking. It takes most people anywhere, usually about 6 months. The reason I went is because I wanted to further defy odds. I wanted to show the power of my mind. I had never even slept in a tent by myself until the Appalachian Trail. This is me and my way of being, where I just like to defy myself. I
wow.
love to connect with nature, and I wanted to do it in a different way. I also wanted to, Helene had just run through and destroyed so much of the area in the South.
Yeah.
As someone who works so closely with the landscapes, I had that in the back of my heart too. But whatever the heck got into me, I got on YouTube University, learned what I could, and I went. To answer your question about filming it, it was again a completely different experience. And in the past, with my travels through the United States and road tripping is more glamorous. I have access to plumbing and showers and whatever I need at all times, electricity. When I was out on the Appalachian Trail, I wanted to give people just tidbits, right? But it's very vulnerable. I mean, out there completely just raw with my whatever fits in my pack, which is my tent, my food supply, some first aid things, and my water. You're wearing the same thing all the time. I don't have, I have on BB cream today. I don't have access to these things. It's very minimal. So I was very stripped down. I was also very, some days were very exhausting based on the weather. The inclines, I mean, you're up and down mountains, quite literally the entire trail. But the reason I did it was to show people anything you set your mind to, you can do. I knew I had never had the intention to make it all the way to Maine. I ended up doing 500 miles. I went from Georgia, I made it to Virginia, and that was it for me. That was a major life accomplishment, and it also has opened my heart up to other versions of connecting with the landscape. As far as connecting with the tarot, in the beginning, I did not read any cards. I had to acclimate my body. I had to acclimate to my surroundings. I mean, I was still getting used to, am I supposed to be afraid if a bear gets me or not? I was still dealing with that kind of stuff. Okay. Once I got comfortable, once I was able to sleep in a tent by myself with no other hikers around me, once I didn't have to stay at the shelter, things like that, I got stronger, I got braver, I got more connected. That's when I was open to doing the cards. And I got a new pack of cards specifically for it. I started doing readings for myself. And then I opened them up to just, folks on Instagram from time to time. It was one of those things where folks had to be flexible, because I could do a reading, but I might not be able to upload it for 2 or 3 days till I have proper Wi-Fi again, right?
Right.
So to answer your question, it was beautiful because I could give them the specific mile marker where I was on the trail, show them the landscape, or at least have it in the background so they could connect with that for folks that resonates with. And then, for the readings, I mean, I didn't have all of my oracle cards. I had one deck, my Rider-Waite-Smith deck, and it was just me. And of course, my energy was so up, because when you're surrounded by nature continuously, your energies are up. Even though you're tired at the end of the day from the energetic, you're tired of hiking, your energies, when you're disconnected from everything from 5G, your old life, whatever you were doing, I loved it. It was a beautiful experience. I was out there for about 4 months, and it was crazy. It was something like, I'm a city girl. So for me to do something like that, I was like, wow, if I can do it, anyone really could. You just have to want it, and you have, do a little research.
Yeah, there has to be an intention with it, an
embodiment of it. You don't just throw yourself out there. But again, something got into me, Sandra. I was doing my own nature walks, and I'd moved back to Pennsylvania, and I started running into these people. They had backpacks on and these sticks. I'm like, what are they doing? And I saw them another day. I went up politely and I said, can I ask, where are you going with all this stuff? And the gentleman said, we're hiking the Appalachian Trail. The trail you're on actually intersects with it, and we're going to Maine. When they said they're going to Maine, I thought they were nuts. And he said, look, go on YouTube, look it up, and you'll know what we're talking about. And that's what I did. And then that's when I got so interested. I followed some other hikers for a few months, learned the basics, learned what gear I needed, learned, what I needed to do to be safe. And I just went for it. Yeah.
You went for it because you you embodied what you wanted to do. And,
exactly.
And then it was the through and through, right?
Yes.
It was the spiritual, or the upper, your higher being, body and mind coming together as one, saying, "Ooh, we're going to do this," right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it didn't make any logical sense. As a matter of fact, it was one of those things I hardly told anyone that I was going up until the very last minute. As a matter of fact, I had a family wedding days before, and that's when most people found out I was going, because I just didn't tell anyone. Why? Because most people project fear into the situation. Oh, you're going by yourself? Wait, you do that? isn't there bear? You're a girl, you're going by yourself. I mean, the list is endless of the fears, the
Yeah,
fear
yeah.
mongering that comes in. And someone like myself that works so closely with energy work, I didn't want any of those projections. So I did what I did. I also told myself my ego is to the side. If there's any reason I have to get off trail, I will. If there are any
Mhm.
questions I had to ask, I had a mentor as a backup. I found a guy on Instagram. I hired him. He checked my gear before I left. He was kind enough to stay in contact with me if I needed anything. So I had certain things I set up. But yeah, it was me and my freaking willpower, dude. And it was me telling myself, I'm doing this and it sounds crazy, but watch me, because I wanted to show people the way I have so many times and show myself, when you choose, the universe conspires in your favor, dude. The
Mhm.
universe rolls out the red carpet for you.
And
And
says,
I will never
"Here."
take back. Every time I've ever surrendered that fully, and I've surprised myself in new situations that are completely unrelated to my past or anything I've learned before, I have the best discoveries. And that's exactly what happened. You know what I mean? So
And I'm
that
going
goes
to
for
tell you,
everything.
I'm going to tell you right now. When I took a break from Soul Conversations, that's what it was called, my older podcast, and then I
Yeah,
took a break. It's been 6 months since I did that, probably a little bit longer because I had to take a break because
sure.
of some health things that came up, and the growth and process through it. The divine was teaching me about alchemizing and transforming energy, showing me because I have this calling within me that some of the spiritual community, when when the young in the spirit are coming in, they're asking questions. They're still, they're still taking their Advil for their headache. They're still, going to their doctors. They're, taking medicine and everything. Medicine is energy, and it comes from the divine. And I cried in my meditation one day to the to the Father, because on one of my lives there was a young lady that was trying to go through some mental healing, and I was trying to get her to have an open dialogue with her doctor,
Mm.
right? And if I was telling her, if you have an open dialogue with your doctor and you tell him what your expectations about what medicines they're giving you, if you feel how you feel about what the medicine is making you do, you have to have a conversation. I told her, I don't believe you need to push against and resist that. What you resist will persist. You have to sit down and have that conversation, because what they're
Right.
going to do is they're going to give you some information that you get to discern. And there was a person that came in and was very adamant in the conversations, that knew her and said, "Hey, you just need to get rid of your doctor. You need to go sue your doctor, blah blah blah."
Mm.
And then in the comments, people were going back and forth, and I just had to stop it. I said, "Look," I told the young lady, I said, "Take what resonates for you." And I behind it, I was crying in the spirit, because I don't want people to die before they can get healed. Because if they aren't ready to learn about holistic medicine, if they aren't ready to put intent behind utilizing it and using it,
Hmm.
they're not gonna do it the right way,
No, 100%. It has to
right?
be, the intention has to be there,
It
100%.
has to be
If
there.
they don't believe in it, it won't work for them, correct? Like, that's how I feel.
Yeah. And so I had been, this is how I had been teaching that. And
Hmm.
so what what happened with me is, okay, you get a calcification in the breast, they diagnose
Mhm.
it, and the doctors said stage 1. And I said, okay. I wasn't going to say why me, because I had been down that road 20 years ago when it was just a stage 0 and it went away. So I knew all the medical processes. And I told the divine, I am not resisting. I read the book, The Surrender Experiment by Michael A. Singer. And I said, life is bringing something to me. Why now? What's it trying to show me? And the divine said, well, you have this desire to help people transmute and transition from modern medicine into holistic medicine, and you're going to show them how to merge it.
Yep.
All you can do is show them. You can't
Yep.
make them.
No.
And it had to come from me. So everything that the doctor would say, what do you want to do? I want to do that. Oh, you want the surgery? Yes, I want the surgery. The divine says take it out. So I took it out. I had it, and I had the best care team, because I told the divine, I said, okay, if we're going to do this, then you've got to set up my care team. You've got the divine life has to present that to me.
Yeah.
Every
Command it. You have to command what you want.
Yeah, command what you want. So I did the surgery. I did the 6 weeks of radiation treatment. Now here's where I was learning how to alchemize and control energy that's going into my body. Energy that's going into your body from the radiation machine already has a story by whoever created it. They probably, their story was, I want people to live a little bit longer, right? But the
Mhm.
story is created with all the after effects or side effects. All I did was told the energy. I commanded the energy. I wanted the energy of health and well-being to be that energy that reduces everything around that area, that allows that area to start to heal and reproduce uh, uh, um, um, healthy cells, and nothing that is and everything that isn't for my highest and greatest good. I commanded it to leave that story and go back to the divine, because it came from the divine anyway. That's where energy comes from. Energy.
It's all it's all source. Source is one, so it's all of the same source. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, energy was never created, nor can it be destroyed.
Right.
All it can do is transmute and
Right.
alchemize. The only way it can be alchemized is if I know what needs to be alchemized. And I said, oh, and then once that was done, the doctor said, okay, what next? I had a dialogue. I said, well, I'm taking my soursop. I'm taking this. This is all
Nice.
the healthy stuff that I'm going to put into my body. And they said, well, while you're doing that, can we suggest you take this because your blood pressure is up a little? And and it was really high. My blood pressure was like really high. They were kind of like, we don't want you to die before you're totally healed. So I didn't resist. I said, okay, but on in the meantime, I'm going to take my beetroot. I'm going to
Right.
take the powder. I'm going to take all these different things, and
Right.
I'm going to merge them because they're energy, and they're ready for. Now, is somebody else ready for that? No, I'm learning that. So when those people come to me that are ready for that information, I
Right.
have it to give them. I can't make them
Right.
do, right?
No, I've learned that the hard way. You can't make them. You can
No.
come with all of the evidence and all the statistics and all the things. If it's not in their frequency, level of awareness, or wanting to do so. There's just, it's like I said earlier with the myths and stuff. When you tell people, it's like they're going to probably resist, or they're not going to. You have to respect their choices. And more importantly, I'm such a fan of the power of belief and the placebo effect. If that's how they feel now, I'm at the place where I'm like, well, please do it and fully believe in it, fully have faith in the modalities that you're choosing, because that's how they work. When you believe it's going to work. That's
When it's
my
going to work.
perspective.
Yeah. That's the one thing that I remember my mom reading from the Bible when she would read. There was a passage where Jesus had laid hands on this person, and the person was healed. And the Jesus says, "You're healed." Something like my mother said it in perfectly the way the Bible said it, but I'm just going to paraphrase it.
That's
You're
good.
healed of your own accord, but go home and tell no one, right? And my mother and I said, well, why couldn't he? Why couldn't he tell other people that he was healed? And my mother said, because if he had told someone, someone would have took their perspective and said, no, you're not. And then
Mm-hmm.
if he wasn't ready to, if he wasn't intent, she used a different word, but if he didn't hold on to that belief, then he would go back to being sick.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, oh, and now roll that up to, I'm in my 60s now, and I go, oh, that's what she meant when she was saying that,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's right.
Yep.
And that's why the placebo pills worked for people who thought
Yes.
that, yeah,
Because they believe it. I mean, you see the studies like that, and then you look at people like, I know Dr. Joe Dispenza was one of the first ones that like, I'm going back 10 years now, but his YouTube stuff would come up. And, let's be honest, his work is kind of cult like now. But then when I saw some of the basics he's teaching about quantum physics and the power of your beliefs and how your thoughts shape your reality in a way that thought is creative, and you can actually use neuroplasticity or the placebo effect to alter your reality. I mean, not in some of the woo-woo ways that we hear some of these false ones put out now, but in ultimate, I mean, I've experienced it for myself too many times. It really does work. And I think we have to remove our blocks, we have to remove our programs and be open to receiving and believing, the thing that we want to receive. And so it is, the word is made flesh, if you will.
yeah,
But, it's again, just how all these things overlap in different beliefs and practices, and like we were saying earlier, the religions, and it's just interesting.
right. Okay, I got one last question because
Okay.
we're at the hour mark, but hey, it's good.
We'll do the
It
question, and then and then we can go our ways. I'm enjoying myself. Thanks for sharing that story, Sandy. I didn't know that that was your experience. So I'm happy that you're in good health now, and I'm happy that you had the experience you did, so you can present it to folks the way that you just explained. So that's really beautiful. Thanks for
thank
sharing.
thank you. And I started saying that because at that time I had just caught up with you, and we were going to do the live on my old
Yeah.
podcast, and then I had to
Okay.
put it on. I had to put it on
I
hold.
understand now. Okay. Yeah. I remember there was a disconnect, and yeah. Okay. It makes sense now. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So guess what?
Interesting.
You're the first guest on the newly. Whoa! I'm gonna tell you. Isn't it synchronicities, man? Synchronicities. Okay, so your journey blends your spiritual insight, your movement through nature, your deep introspective. In the spirit of my soul awakening conversations, emerge and flow. Can you
Mm-hmm.
share a moment in your travels when you felt your soul truly awakening? When
Oh
you were
my
having another recalling, a moment where you felt yourself emerging into a deeper version of you. And
That's
it
such a
doesn't
good
have to be
question.
your last walkabout. It could be any.
It's not going to be, it's going to be, especially, I mean, because this happens. when, again, it's another form of surrender. Sometimes I'm on trips and I know where I'm going. Other times I'm on trips, I know where I'm going, but I give myself a few extra days because I might see something or feel something and head off. Whenever I do that, whenever I allow myself extra space, I have found myself in landscapes, specifically in the Southwest, specifically in Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, Southern Colorado, where I am in awe at the way I'm able to connect with the landscape. I am in awe at the story she tells me. I'm in awe at not just the history from, oh my goodness, like I just, there have been enough profound times where I recall parts of myself. And some might like to call it recalling past lives, or perhaps connecting with history based on ruins or bloodshed or civilizations and tribes that have moved about. But I will say, and this is just for anyone who, it's not all about going somewhere and taking a selfie. When you go out to places that you feel called to go to, and you give yourself space and time to connect with the land and the elements and whatever's around you, and the less people the better. When
Uh-huh.
you're able to do that, it will, I don't care who you are, it will awaken something in you, and you will rise to a new level of yourself. It will give you something that not only emerges from you, but something to think about and process later that you will carry with you. um, as it'll be a part of your journey forever. One that is particularly coming to me are canyons that are in southern Arizona, part of which are man-made. There's actually a lake that goes through a portion of it, and when I tell you, I you almost feel, and I want to be careful with the wording, the electricity that flows through your body. You feel so lit up, you feel so excited, and in the enthusiasm, there's something about it that it just, you carry with you, your cells remember it.
Mhm.
So, and that's not special to me. As we were talking, anyone can do this with wherever you go with all your heart, and that
Right.
is what will emerge for you. Yeah.
Yes. Oof. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you. I am so happy and thrilled that we actually got this moment in time to to um to share energy, to
I'm
have
very
an
thankful for
energy
you, Sandy.
connection.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be a guest. I didn't realize it was the first one for you back. I'm so honored, and I love
Yeah.
you very much.
Oh, I love you too. Thank you. And if you want to give the audience any last words,
I'm
feel
going to
free. Now's
reiterate
the
what I
moment.
just said. I'm going to say, wherever you go with all your heart, whether it's physical, spiritual, your mind. Your word is your wand. Whatever you believe does come to form. And the more you surrender and the less that you do, just, it's about peeling away. And it's just, I don't know, in my experience, that's where the magic unfolds. And, it's not supposed to be a utopia 24/7, bro. Like, all of the challenges we face, the alchemy that we produce in our hermit phases, our solitude, that's where the magic lies too. So, wherever you go with all your heart, and do it scared too. Do it scared.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice. Fear and all the lower polarities that we we spiritual people talk about. We're supposed to traverse through the lower polarities. That's part of
Hmm.
our learning experience.
It's where our
How
power lies, really.
Yeah, that's how
Hmm.
we get, that's how our, whether you call it your higher being or it's your soul or your spirit, or the matrix mind, or the mini me illusion. I've heard so many ways it being called, but we were meant to come here in this realm to have a journey. We came to play.
Yeah.
We we
Yes.
we came to learn. We came to experience. We came to be. And we came to the divine, the creator, set it up so that we could learn. It wasn't
Right.
meant to, I truly don't believe that it was meant to be easy. I
No.
I believe that it was just meant to be,
Hmm.
that you played and you said, "Oh, I felt that. That felt this way. Okay, what do I want to do with that feeling? Okay, let it go and then pick up something else." Every material thing that we have or that we create isn't meant to last forever, whether that's situations or whether that's circumstances, or even in when people pass away and you feeling hurt or you're feeling lost, these feelings weren't meant to be forever. They were meant to be felt. They were meant to be explained to your higher being that's having the journey, and then the higher being says, okay, next. you
Right.
know I mean, it sounds simple, but we get caught in the humanistic part of it, because
Of
we're
course.
we're we're triune. We're body, mind, and soul, body, and mind, body, and soul. We're either way that any way that you say it, we're experiencing being multidimensionally um uh uh a a creator. And I
Correct.
was like, whew, it's like, but here, guys, I'm glad that Kaylin showed up for us
Yeah.
today, because her journey, when I watched it, I tried to watch it as much as I could. And
That's
when
how
I
it
would
feels
come,
to be
I
a
would, when
beta.
I would come in and you were about to go off, I go, oh, please, please record that. Please, let it,
That's so cool. See, you never know. That's the thing. Like, you never know who's watching or who's inspired by these random things. It warms my heart that you were following along. But again, I could feel the good energy from my Instagram family coming through. I was so grateful for, like, even I was surprised anyone showed up for that, because it was completely different than anything I'd ever put on here before.
Mhm.
I didn't even know what the hell I was doing, really. So it was so cool to see folks surrendering along with me and watching that.
For me, it was like when you got to your next destination, I would go, whew, okay, she's there. Kind of,
Yeah.
okay, I'm glad she's there, I'm glad she's safe, okay, and kind of sitting there like a little kid going, okay, what's she gonna say about it, kind of
Oh, that's
kind
so
of thing.
sweet of
So
you. Thank
I'm
you
not
so
sure
much.
if are you able to see any of the comments?
I can see, yeah, I was trying to say hello actually to Kelsey. Good to see you. Dwayne, the Al, nice to meet you. Stellar Steph, hi. Sandy, hi. Adam was here earlier. Good to see all of you guys. I don't know if I know the Al 33 says he loves road trips or she loves road trips. I'm
Yeah,
with you, partner. So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Owl 33 and Ruthie Crown came in. So thank you all for joining us on this conversation. I hope that everything that we have shared, all the energy that we have um, uh, put out, take what energy resonates for you. What energy doesn't leave it in the room,
Hmm.
right? Just
Leave
leave
it
it
in
in
the
the room.
container, baby. Yeah, leave it in the container.
Yeah, leave it in the container, and take what resonates for you. How you?
Yeah.
This is all about you growing you at whatever journey, at whatever part of the journey you're at. We are not all going to be on the same journey. There is no one size that fits all. Kaylin is Kaylin. I'm Sandy. And you're going to be you. And our higher beings are here. Our higher beings chose our glorious bodies for a ride of a spiritual lifetime. They came in and said, we want to feel everything you feel. Talk to us. Share with us. If your body is talking to you, listen to your body. If your mind is talking to you, listen to your mind. It's okay if it's your ego mind. It's okay if it's chattering a little bit. It's going to talk to you. Listen to it and
It's
find out
going to
what it's
talk,
trying to
right?
tell you.
It's going to talk.
It's going to talk. But you get to go, okay. You get to have a moment and say, okay, hush now. I'm listening to what you just said. I'm
And I'm
discerning
feeling
what you
how I
just said.
feel.
Yeah. So have those now moments help you know thyself. And the more you know thyself, the more you will be your authentic you. And this is all my Soul Awakening Conversation podcast is about. It's about you knowing you meeting you where you're at, and then you're shifting, growing, and expanding. And when you see other people doing that, you get the opportunity to say, I can do what Kaylyn did. I can do what Sandy did. And then go do it. So let's see. Dwayne says, we are not meant to be the same. Exactly. We are
We
not
learn
meant
from
to
our
be.
differences, and we are more similar than we think, but we learn from each other's differences. If it was all the same, it would be much less to learn. On that
My,
note, Sandy, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. What I will do is I will add you as a collaborator. So if you want to use any part of the,
Wonderful.
you can share it with others. And everyone, next Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I will have another guest for you. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Sandy. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much, everyone that joined us.
So the next guest, guys, is going to be October 3rd. She's called the Potions Priestess. Her name is Jaleesa, and you're in for a journey as well. Thank you so much for being part of this conversation. One love, balance, and wholeness to you and yours. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Peace.